Somewhere beyond the recesses of time and space, two podcasters are set adrift in a machine, picking up transmissions of movies that are forgotten but not gone.
Welcome everyone to Movie Memory Machine 5-4, the mini-series where we talk about 5 films inspired by, influenced by, or thematically related to the movie we're talking about this week. And this week's movie is Reminiscence. Yep, the movie that tried our patience to its extreme.
The movie that submerged our patience underneath a flooding ocean of tortured metaphors.
Don't even start with that nonsense again. Truman, this is an episode to celebrate because I have 5 films that people absolutely need to check out if they haven't, and should bring our cinematic joy back to the forefront.
I can't wait. Show them to me.
All right. Our first movie, I'm surprised I didn't talk about this more on the main episode. It is, I think, very thematically related in terms of memory, in terms of weird sci-fi dystopian cities. We're talking about...
Oh, Dark City. A movie that I know I need to see and that I have not seen and that I own on DVD and still have not seen. So I know this is supposed to be about joy, but all I'm feeling right now is shame. Tell me about Dark City.
Reminiscence was about joy. Lisa Joy, and this one is at least this part is about Alex Proyas, who directed Dark City.
That's great.
Truman, you've talked about your maybe uncomfortable fascination with Jennifer Connelly, who is in this movie.
Okay, you make it sound like it's weird. Yeah, I'm like the only guy who thinks that World Historical Smoke Show Jennifer Connelly is hot. Boo, don't shame me.
I'm not shaming. I'm just pointing out the obvious.
Yeah, I'm aware. You're the one who brought it up, not me. Who's the real freak?
The premise of this is so interesting. And granted, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but the idea is this is a future city that shifts its shape, and every night the city is put to sleep and given different they like rotate personalities between people, and the people in the city do not remember who they were the day before. So like the mailman might be Joe on Tuesday, but then the next day Frank is now the mailman and Joe is the person receiving the mail, sitting around the kitchen table. And it's all done by this like experiment by this alien species who's examining us. And
spoiler alert, dude, thanks.
Go look at like the any still from this movie and you'll be like, oh yeah, them's aliens. Very gothy aliens, but aliens.
Ooh. Oh man. Well, it was the late 90s.
Yes, exactly. And the director of The Crow. So
oh boy.
But it's about reconnecting with memory and memory allowing us to set us free, and I think that is very thematically connected to Reminiscence. In addition to just like a massive production design, bringing the city to life.
Many of the reviews for Reminiscence did point out that it was really just cobbled together from so many other more competently made science fiction films. And this one seems like from what I'm seeing here and from what you're saying, that it engages with all of the things Reminiscence wants to be about in a more competent and less up its own ass way.
And done, like, I wouldn't say independently, but like on a fraction of the scale and budget of Reminiscence, even adjusting for inflation.
Well, they, with the writers of Reminiscence charged by the word for all of those metaphors, that's where you really blow up your budget. What do you got next?
All right, moving on. We mentioned this a little bit in the main episode.
2046, directed by Wong Kar-wai.
Oh, man. This is right up my alley. I mean, In the Mood for Love is like a top 10 perfect film for me. 2046 is a little more complex for my taste, but still invites me back every so often. Like there's just a pull to this film, and it plays on the poetic nature of Reminiscence, set in a future about love, pulling people together. The movie itself has a kind of elliptical, poetic nature to it. It feels very much like, I mean, it's not an approach Hollywood would ever greenlight.
Sure.
It feels like this is the sort of Tommy Lee Jones poetry version. I mean, Reminiscence feels like the Tommy Lee Jones poetry version of what this film is doing.
This is what it would be like if Tommy Lee Jones's poems were actually good.
Exactly. And you know what? We don't know that they're not good. Have you ever read Tommy Lee Jones's poetry?
No, you're right. This is true. Much like we haven't heard the Monster Mash. We've heard the song about the Monster Mash.
Exactly.
We've only heard the stories about the poems, not read the poems themselves.
You don't know. Tommy Lee Jones's poems could be a graveyard smash.
Do you think that Tommy Lee Jones' poems were the Monster Mash?
It's entirely possible.
I don't know why that girl didn't date him then. Anyway, I don't know what that has to do with 2046, but looks great. I'll check it out.
Yeah.
What's next?
And it's just visually just stunning cinematography. Highly recommend going to see this. Okay, moving on. A movie I think you're cold on.
Yes, Inception, directed by Christopher Nolan, the coldest director in the world. Yeah, this movie just doesn't do it for me, man. I mean, I'm sorry to bag on it when you're out here recommending it to all the good people, but man, I just do you.
Well, to be clear about this concept, this isn't necessarily recommendations. Just like here are 5 films that are thematically related to the movie we're talking about.
Okay, not a wholehearted endorsement, but I mean, so this is a movie about memory, about dreamscapes, that plays with perception.
Well, you're cold on this movie. How do you feel about it in relation to Reminiscence?
Oh, well, I like it I'd watch this movie every day if it meant I never had to think about Reminiscence again. Like, it's a much better movie than Reminiscence.
Yeah.
But, this movie, my problem with it is it like, every line of dialogue is explaining convoluted concepts in the movie. Every line of dialogue in Reminiscence is just a convoluted metaphor about nothing. So there's levels to this.
Reminiscence is like one of the innermost levels of an Inception.
Are you? It's like if you could incept a sentence. Are you up on Inception? How do you feel about Inception?
I haven't seen it in a very long time. I was very up on it initially. I had a moment in the theater watching it where the hallway scene with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, kind of, the anti-gravity thing, where I thought I was like the only person having an experience in the movie. Like, it was a silent theater, and then that fight scene happens, and then it just like ends. And I remember going, whoa, like audibly making a noise to a completely silent and packed theater. And then, like, after I made the noise, I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. And then the theater erupted in applause. And I'm like,
oh, wow.
Oh, okay. So I'm not alone on this.
Landon, they weren't clapping for the movie. They were clapping for you. And and they were all so excited that you were out there experiencing cinema on that level.
Yeah, this is a case where, like, the fandom around it has kind of spoiled it for me. Like, just the reverence for Christopher Nolan not being able to do any wrong. It's kind of like, okay, whatever. Like, okay, he's up his own ass. But I would give it another shot. I think I'd enjoy it again with enough time away from it.
Yeah. Well, what else will you enjoy? What's next?
We're going back in time, baby.
Ooh. Vertigo. Oh, what a picture right there.
Yeah, tell me about Vertigo. Do you know about Vertigo?
Have you heard the good news about Vertigo?
I want to ask that question again in a more condescending way.
Hey, do you know, like, so it's called film, and it's like, pictures. Well, imagine if there were 24 of them every second. It's pretty cool. Have you ever seen a horse running? Well, Yes, I have seen Vertigo, but I feel like a Philistine because I don't actually love it as much as I think I should. I'm way more of a Rear Window head.
Yeah.
Although I do really respect Vertigo for taking George Bailey and having him basically be a crazy person who fucks up everybody's lives.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool range for my man Jay Stu.
This is going to be a controversial statement. Me outside the film Twitter community with my binoculars, saying I don't think anybody likes Vertigo as much as they claim they do.
Interesting.
It is a remarkable cinematic achievement.
Yeah.
But emotionally, it's cold. And
Like a
okay,
Nolan
so
film.
the connection to Reminiscence being like letting love lead you to destruction.
Yeah.
Being fooled by what you think is a heroic mission, and it just completely destroying you and the world around you.
Yeah, getting ghosted and not handling it in a healthy way. Yeah. well, we matched on OkCupid. I don't know why she's not writing me back.
Now, can you do lines of Reminiscence in a Jimmy Stewart voice?
Well, Marianne, the whole world is like a pearl of memory, and it's in an ocean of tears.
Again, just veering back into Fraser's dad in every impression.
You know what? You know you're getting into listening to this podcast. Talk more about Vertigo so I don't do Jimmy Stewart anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't know what there is to say about Vertigo that hasn't been said, but to me it's one of the most beautifully shot films, and what I think the better connection to Reminiscence being is like Vertigo achieves the kind of fantasy mindscape that I think Reminiscence wants to achieve, but even having a fantasy sci-fi world isn't able to achieve it as much as like real world San Francisco in 1958.
Absolutely, and a Technicolor San Francisco as well.
It's
Everything
true.
really vivid and beautiful.
It's
Also, quick shout out to the score for Vertigo.
Yes.
Total banger.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So
Absolutely.
good. Music to go insane to. What do you got next? Minority Report, directed by Steven Spielberg.
Heard of him?
Starring Tom Cruise. Yeah. It's so there's film. It's like, so it used to be in black and white, and now it's in color. And there was this movie about a shark.
Now I know you're not a Tom Cruise head. How do you
No.
feel about Minority Report?
I mean, I like the movie, and I really would like to revisit it because it has been a minute since I've seen it. I feel like it was sort of that kind of nether region of Spielberg movies. It was this and AI, which I feel like were, kind of well received at the time, but I think have then grown in their standings as time has gone by since.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like as Tom Cruise movies go, this one is not so cruisy that it puts me off entirely.
Okay.
And there's a lot of other stuff that I like about it. I'm damning it with faint praise.
You're not getting seasick from this cruise.
Yes, this is definitely in my zone of interest, though. But what about yours?
This is so the connections to Reminiscence being, using memory and flashes of premonition. I guess it's not memory; it's like future memory. This is what what will come, maybe, perhaps? Question mark.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the idea of those premonitions being corrupted, the same with the memories being corrupted, and it throwing, the investigation awry, and leading the main character on a chase for truth or love. Am I stretching for these connections here?
No, you're not. I'm just sitting here wondering, like, how we haven't brought up the fact that 3 different characters in Minority Report spend the entire movie immersed in butt juice, and we never,
Butt milk. It's butt milk.
That somehow sounds even worse than the term that we have normalized over the course of many episodes. I don't approve, and neither does Mr. Spielberg. I think that I would really like to rewatch this movie because also just with the way that we're thinking about police differently now than we were in 2002, and thinking about what security actually is and how just the criminal justice system actually is. I think this could this movie could age in a great way, or could maybe age in a not great way.
Potentially open for interesting remake in the world of data and personal, information that is accessible and how that can be used to predict your futures and what you're going to do.
Well, speaking of predicting the future, there's the scene in this movie where he's walking around the mall and all of the optical things are reading his eyes, and there's all these advertisements that are going like, "Hey, Tom Cruise, do you want to buy some, a new laptop? Hey, Tom Cruise, do you want to get a new t-shirt?" And it's like, we are probably 2 years away from that now with how invasive data-driven advertising is at this point.
It's 100% true. Minority Report. It's reality.
It's more like Reality Report. Well, this has been fun.
That's what happens when you talk about sci-fi films. That's the 5 films I have for Reminiscence. I would recommend watching all of them multiple times before you watch Reminiscence. So do that, please.
Yeah, and maybe just skip Reminiscence at the end of that all.
And until next week when we bring you another movie, I've been Landon Solano.
And I've been Truman Caps. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.
Movie Memory Machine is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/gruntworkpod to keep the machine running. Theme song by Porky's Groove Machine. Rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. For more information on today's show, visit moviememorymachine.com.